The Fireworks Man. Location South Hollow, Kentucky. They say he only comes once a year, on the night the sky is loud enough to drown out screaming. In South Hollow, the 4th of July is everything. The town doubles its population that day. Families from all around pile into lawn chairs, faces tilted upward, waiting for the fireworks show over Old Bishop Hill. But there's a story the old-timers mutter about, never too loud, especially after dark. A man who comes when the sky is brightest. A man made of ash and metal. A man who steals your face. No one believed it anymore. That's what teenage Caleb told himself as he set up his tripod to capture the finale this year. His sister, Taryn, was beside him, her red, white, blue ribbons tangled in her long black hair. Don't wander, their mom had warned, already 3 margaritas deep with the neighbors. But Caleb wanted the best angle. He crept up the hill's side, away from the crowd. That's when the firework misfired. It wasn't part of the show. The boom was too low. Too wet. Caleb looked down the hill and saw people still watching, clapping. But there was no color in the sky, only smoke creeping up from the tree line. Then he saw him. Something moved within the haze, tall and skeletal, its frame sparking with wires and burnt fuses, its head a hollow canister spewing black soot. Its face shimmered, red-hot metal in the vague shape of a man. Caleb's camera clicked frantically. The thing raised one long matchstick finger to its non-existent lips. Shh! Taryn screamed below. Caleb spun around. She was on the ground, crawling backward, her mouth open but silent. Then the noise returned, sudden and too loud. Crackle whistle! As the finale ignited. 20 rockets filled the sky, masking everything. Caleb dashed down but couldn't find her. Only a ribbon, burning at the edge, left behind. She wasn't in the crowd. Not at the Lost Kids booth. Not in the hospital. Gone. Only the camera remained, but every picture was corrupted. Except one. A blurry photo of the smoke. In the corner stood Taryn, her face twisted in silent agony, and beside her, an identical version of herself, smiling wide, her eyes burned out sparklers glowing red. They say he replaces you, uses your body for the next year. Until the next July 4th, when the cycle repeats. South Hollow still celebrates, and each year someone disappears. And someone new arrives, wearing their face just a little too tight. Red, white, and boiled. Location: Camp Liberty, Maine. Camp Liberty had been closed for over 30 years, but this year, the owners reopened it with fresh cabins and new counselors. The place had a dark history, an old chemical spill, they said, decades back. But the EPA cleared it, and kids needed places to roast marshmallows again. The campers arrived just in time for the big 4th of July cookout. Ben, the head counselor, was uneasy from the start. The lake looked wrong, too glossy. The frogs had no eyes, but the kids didn't notice. They were more excited for hot dogs and fireworks. That night, they held a feast on the dock. Ben grilled while other counselors played patriotic tunes. As the kids bit into the meat, something squelched beneath their teeth. Hot dogs taste weird, one boy said. I like mine. Another chirped, ketchup dripping down her chin. But it wasn't ketchup. The fireworks started. Red, white, and blue explosions above, and then the screaming began. One child fell into the water, another's skin bubbled at the edges. A boy coughed up a tooth, but it wasn't his. A girl vomited a lump of hair. The lake hissed. It began to boil. A massive, skinless thing erupted from it, limbs like bloated logs, its mouth wide, fanged, filled with rusted cans and shredded plastic. It screamed not with sound, but pressure, making ears bleed. The firework finale illuminated it in full, a conglomeration of all things dumped into the water over decades. An ancient trash god of the forgotten American dream. It feasted. By morning, Camp Liberty was still. The only sound was wind rustling a flag caught in the branches. Beneath it, the lake bubbled softly, and from it, tiny heads occasionally surfaced, half-formed. Still growing. 3. 1776, Teeth. Location, Whisper Pines Retirement Community, Pennsylvania. Miriam Booth had lived through 92 Independence Days. She was tired. The fireworks gave her migraines. But Whisper Pines insisted on holding the party every year. Red, white, and blue cupcakes, cheap flags in the flower beds. Patriotic music blaring from ancient speakers. This year, though, something was different. The guests who arrived weren't right. They dressed in old uniforms, real ones, British coats, militia boots, faces pale, eyes glossy like polished bone. They called each other by names like Samuel and Martha. They spoke like actors in a colonial reenactment, except they never broke character. Miriam's nurse, Tara, brushed it off. Just community theatre volunteers. But Miriam recognized one of them, her father, dead 40 years. But there he was, clean-shaven and young, in full continental uniform. "Miriam," he whispered, kneeling beside her wheelchair. "We need you again. You were one of us." She shook. "One of who?" The guests began to chant. "Blood for the birth of a nation." Suddenly, every light in the home died. The smell of sulphur filled the halls. The old ones, the residents, began to change, their dentures falling out, revealing rows of yellowed fangs beneath. Their skin sloughed off, revealing waxy masks of 18th century soldiers. This wasn't a party. This was a ritual. Every 76 years, they said, the founders returned to reclaim blood, to fuel liberty with sacrifice. The revolution had never ended, it had only gone underground. Tara tried to run. They caught her, placed a tri-corner hat on her head, stabbed her through the chest with a musket tipped in bone. Miriam was wheeled to the front as the ghost of her father raised the original flag of the 13 colonies, soaked in blood. "Speak the pledge," he hissed. "I won't," she whispered. "I didn't then. I won't now." Then her eyes rolled back. Her voice became younger, clearer, crueler. "Oh, but you did, Miriam, and you always will." They placed her hand on the flame, let it burn until her flesh bubbled like wax. Outside, fireworks lit the sky. Inside, the founders feasted. And somewhere deep below the building, the original declaration hung, not behind glass, but nailed to flesh, pulsing, bleeding, alive.